Hi there, thanks for joining us on Let's Talk Taste with Sherry, where we're saving the earth one flavor at a time by gathering community to share wisdom around the natural connections between our innate sense of taste and flavors that are grown in healthy regenerative soils. Welcome. Hey there, Sherry Hess with the Flavor Remedy. Thanks for joining me for one more episode of Let's Talk Taste with Sherry, saving the earth one flavor at a time. Okay, so today it's amazing to me because every episode that I launch, that I create with my director, that we talk about these topics, I'm like, I can do that. I can talk about that. That's part of my story. So that's part of what I'm doing here today, is bringing in a little thread of how I got here and why this is so important to me. And the thread of this particular episode falls into the realm of spices and supplements. Okay. So we live in a world where, here in America at least, the reverence to food as medicine is a rising trend. I think it's been there all along, but it's not our first go-to in general. I think it's pretty safe to say that the broad spectrum of population is looking for a fix to an illness as opposed to a preventative or a support to our health system, to our health. And by system, I mean our bodies, right? The system, our immune system, our nervous system, the inflammation response, everything in our bodies, right? We seem to lean into the quick fix of a pill. So when I went down my health journey and I struggled, and I was already eating organic and passionate about food because of my gardening background. But when I got sick, and the top doctors that I went to see, I had connections to be able to access the best in the state, and they didn't have answers for me. And this is I bet there's, I don't know, 75 to 80% of my audience can look at me and go, yeah, Sherry, I've been there. I know that story. So what happened with me was, you have to seek help. If you want to heal, you seek help. And so working with naturopaths and nutritionists and a chiropractic team that had a nutritionist on staff to help me navigate how to heal with food, what my other options were, because there's always food, right? And in that process of already being passionate about food from an organic standpoint and from a growing food standpoint, I knew that there was something to that. But it takes a team sometimes. It takes someone who has a whole different set of knowledge, like the nutritionist, that can say, here, these will help you. And so I was basically handed pills that were in alignment with what I believe. So not like pharmaceutical pills, but supplements. So capsules that were full of things that were going to support my immune system, that were going to calm my nervous system, that were going to support inflammation that was happening in my body. All of these things, right? And me being curious and always reading labels and ingredients, picked up these bottles of supplements and read the back of them. And I was like, turmeric, green tea, cinnamon, what's ashwagandha, right? So it's almost like this, almost like a step into herbalism, because I got curious about the ones that I did not recognize as a spice or an herb. And then at the same time, I was just like, wow, this is food as medicine, right? This is food as medicine, because it made a difference. It worked. The bottom line is it worked. It helped support me. And it wasn't something that was instant, and it wasn't something that was like, taking Advil and your headache goes away in 15 minutes. No. And it was not meant to be that. It was meant to be a long-term support. And as certain systems improved, it would change. It wasn't something I was taking for the rest of my life. So that ultimately, I healed. I had to go down a journey of understanding what foods supported my body, what foods didn't support my body. But that kind of like seed that was planted around the supplements being full of herbs and spices showed up for me years later, when my life kind of got turned upside down and I started going out on my own and saying, well, why aren't we just eating more spices? And this is how Legendary Spice was created. That was the company that I ran. It's still the umbrella company of the Flavor Remedy. And it led me to create the spice blends. And what I did was take spice blends that I knew were from supplements. You can go to Whole Foods, you can go to Vitamin Cottage, you can go to anywhere where they sell supplements, and you'll still see ginger, cinnamon, thyme as an antiviral, antibiotic, food. There's food in capsules at these stores being sold as supplements. It's true. It's there. And they're, you know, they may or may not be more concentrated versions of what you would put on your food every day, but this is why I created the spices. Like, why aren't we just tasting these things? Why aren't we letting the wisdom of our bodies taste these supplements and let the connection of, wow, ginger is warm and spicy, and get curious about what would that do to my body if I'm experiencing something warm in my mouth and there's like maybe a blood rush or a flush to your face and you're like, oh my God, what's happening in my body? Like, we don't even think about this. We just let that superficial experience be, you know, on our taste buds and no further. And we're like, oh, that's too hot. I don't like that. Get curious, get more engaged in what is that doing to your body, right? And sometimes it's not an immediate response, such as like eating a hot pepper or tasting ginger, but that's definitely a good place to get curious, right? So turmeric, black pepper, oregano, thyme, basil, these are all marketed as supplements. You can grow that in your backyard if you really want to, right? Taste it. Let your body have that first bite of medicine. Taste medicine. Embrace bitter. Like, it's got to be so much more powerful than taking it as a capsule. Now, I'm not saying there's not situations where you need more intense and maybe the flavor, if you're in a place where your body is really out of balance and you need an extreme level of something, that's a different story. But in the realm of maintaining health and long-term food is medicine, start tasting your medicine, start eating your supplements. Maybe don't literally break up your supplement and eat it, although you could, but go buy some fresh ginger, grow some fresh herbs, get curious. It's a little harder now to find the benefits of herbs and spices because of COVID causing more censorship and kind of tamping down of these resources, which is tragic and sad, but it's true. I mean, pharmaceuticals are created from plants, and there's so much benefit just to even the simplest culinary herbs can really make a difference. I'm happy to support anyone who has questions around that too. Ask me questions, send me a message, engage, put questions under the show. You know, I always say, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a certified herbalist, I'm not an I'm not like all these titles, but I have so much wisdom around so many different things that I'm happy to just engage wherever I can and support around this topic. So if you're buying those, you know, little vegetable glycerin capsules filled with food, how about you try just tasting it instead? See if it makes a difference.